was wrong.
And we're live. We should be, there's a commercial running, and then we should go live.
Yeah, skip down.
All right, hi everybody. And what was I supposed to say?
Hi, all you Bigfoot enthusiasts.
Yeah, hello, all you Bigfoot enthusiasts, and welcome to. Well, actually, I was supposed to say, hi, I'm Scott Villette from Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research.
And I'm Hannah Villette from Squatchin' with Hannah, and welcome to an evening in the piano wagon. No, an evening in the paddy wagon,
So,
our weekly Bigfoot chat.
Yeah, so we need entirely more coffee,
Or
apparently
something.
tonight. So,
And tonight, our topic is the Native American legends and lore surrounding Bigfoot. So, I hope you really enjoy it. This is actually the area of Bigfoot study that I find most enjoyable, probably from my sociology background. But yeah, so we're going to talk about all things Native American tonight.
yeah, and this is the area of study I studied in anthropology. That's my thing. So, here we go.
So Cameron is F. Cameron, oh my goodness, I can't read. Cameron F is out there. Welcome, Cameron. Please, if you are out there, say hi in the chat stream. And if he's busy yammering along, then I will go ahead and respond to you in the chat stream.
All right. I've got notes tonight.
Oh dear, he's got
Lots of
notes.
So,
The last time he had notes, I had to stop him after 2 hours.
yeah, we're not going 2 hours. We're going to do our 1 hour because later on tonight I actually have a radio show I got to do from midnight to 1 o'clock in the morning, Wisconsin time, in Kenosha, Wisconsin. So if you're in Kenosha, Wisconsin, listen to WLOP, the
LIP.
Lip. LIP. Yeah, WLIP, the Lip. So, yeah, I'm on their Area 1051 show tonight. Boy, I can't say anything right. So,
Oh, Cameron says, oh no, with notes comes homework. Hi, Justin. Good to see you back here. Oh, we promise no homework tonight. Well, unless it's like subscribe, share, and all those things. But,
Yeah.
you know.
okay. So do we want to just jump right into it because there is a presentation?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
just a couple of announcements. One announcement. I'll be happy to know that Edgar has been rehomed. So thanks for all your warm thoughts about that. And for the first time in our almost 23 years together, we are pet free.
Yeah. Wow.
So there's nowhere we can't go now.
Yep. So, yay. So tonight what I wanted to talk about, and that it was Hannah's idea last week that we talk about that this week, that I wanted to talk about Native American legends and lore that surrounds the Bigfoot legends and lore.
That surrounds
world.
Bigfoot tradition.
Yeah, the Bigfoot tradition.
Do I get to share my favorite one?
Yeah, in a bit.
Okay.
Keep that in the back burner. Okay, so for a minute. No, what I wanted to do is, this is kind of what got me into this. Well, sort of. What really got me into it was the Patterson-Gimlin film I saw when I was 7 years old in a movie theater. And I thought, wow, they are real. So my whole life I've been actually looking for footprints and all that stuff. But later on in life, after I went to school for anthropology, and started studying Native American legend and lore and learning how to read petroglyphs and stuff, I started noticing all the Bigfoot stuff. And we're going to get into that tonight. So that's what my kind of passion is, of what got me into Bigfoot. It was the Native American legend and lore. So, without further ado, look at this. We have a presentation.
Look at that fancy picture.
And then that, yes, I did a Bigfoot along with the Native American faces. Isn't that cool? All
And
right.
there we are in the corner.
And there we are. Yay.
All right, so
So, with my notes here. First of all, the talking about petroglyphs and pictographs. The difference being petroglyphs are etched and marked into the rocks, and
as in Petra being stone.
Petra being stone.
Stone signs.
Stone signs. And then pictographs is something that's painted on things. So that's the difference. If you ever wanted to know, probably didn't. But so here we go. So this is the most famous one. As far as things go, this here is in Central California, and it is
this is a pictograph.
It is a pictograph. Good, honey. Okay, it's a pictograph of a Bigfoot. Now, this picture here doesn't show the whole thing, but this here is an outline of what the actual picture looks like, and I love that we're feeding fast enough that I can see it over there. All right, so to the right of your screen you see a Bigfoot, and to the left of the screen and right above us right up here you see a mommy Bigfoot, it's this way, and a baby Bigfoot right above me. And then you've got this way up higher, you got the stick figure of a man, which actually has a meaning. It's kind of a, sometimes in Native American lore, it's a omen of bad news coming. An almond?
Omen.
An
almond is something I put in my yogurt.
Okay. So, and if you look next to the lady right over here, this these two little long stick-looking things, well, those are atlatls, and those were invented before the bow and arrow, and they were used to chuck spears. So that gives us kind of a date on this thing. So it is at least about 500 years old. So that gives us a date of this. And in reality, this thing is 8 feet tall in real life. And it tells a story about a hunting party next to a spring where they found footprints, hence the big spring looking thing, and hunting goats, and a hunting party with a man down. And we don't know if Bigfoot did that or not, but it kind of looks like it may have, with the pictures of the foreboding sign of the stick man. And then above the lady Bigfoot is the is kind of a ghost figure, which is similar to the drawing of the Bigfoot. So I think they're considering him a ghost of the forest. Now, this is my readout on this, and I have studied this for a long time. I've got 1 billion books on it. I've been looking at pictographs. I actually worked on pictographs down in Chaco Canyon, New Mexico.
And in Central Valley, California.
In the Central Valley in California. And to me, this is what this is saying. There has been a book written on this, and there's a gal who actually just friended me on Facebook. I'm so excited. Yeah, but anyway, her name's Kathy Markowitz Strain. She's an anthropologist, archaeologist, and she's been working on this particular pictograph in Central California for years. She wrote a book on it, Giants, Cannibals, and Monsters, Bigfoot and Native Culture, and it's an awesome book. I am kind of ashamed to say I haven't read it, but I want to. It cost $80. So.
Actually, what will happen is when we get the book, I will read it out loud while he's driving.
Yes.
I am his very own Audible. That's
yes,
me.
That's true. All right. So, but that's not the only one. There is pictographs all over.
Those are petroglyphs.
Or petroglyphs and pictographs all over the all over America. And I'm not talking just North America, South America too. And if you can see the center figure in this, you've got a native next to it on a horse or riding something. I'm not quite sure. But it looks like he's riding a horse. with a bow and arrow. So that puts it later. So that puts it within the last 200 years, 300 years. And this giant figure with giant feet and giant hands. And I'm going to get into the face later, but
I was going to say it kind of looks like a gray.
it's not.
Okay.
I will tell you why. But it's definitely a male, if you can tell. Okay. This video is not for children. Okay.
Thank you. I will never be able to look away now.
All right.
Can we move on to the next slide,
Moving
please?
on to the
There
next
we go.
slide.
Thank you.
Then we've got these interesting ape-looking faces with the kind of like the teenager O mouth or duck mouth picture. You know, the teenagers. So that's been around for What do they call them now? Those girls? What are the
Visco girls.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah.
Save turtles.
Save turtles. Yeah.
So, I'm a teacher. Can you tell? I know all the stuff.
Yeah. So there's these photographs here with this kind of. There's an interesting thing about these, and we'll come back to that in a minute when I explain some other stuff. And there's these. There is a complete Bigfoot face. You have got
big mouth.
the big mouth, the eyes, the nose, the deep brow. And this one here, I actually have a note on it for my own recollection, is this pictograph is in Bella Coola, BC. Bella Coola, British Columbia, Canada. So that's to our north a little bit. And then the next one is these stone figures, these faces. The one right above me, okay, this is backwards. Whoop, there, okay. That one there was found on the Columbia River. Now, of course, there's no way to date these. You can't carbon date stone, but you can take a guess. That's about the best we can do. We're guessing 200 years, 300 years. And the bigger one to your right is found in Lelut area of British Columbia, and the one right above my head was found along the Columbia River here in Oregon. So those are kind of interesting. And then you have Native American masks. Now some of these, like the one right above my head, is about 300 to 400 years old. Some of these are made out of wood, so you can carbon date it. The one that's kind of shady all the way to this side, what?
Stop talking for just a minute.
Okay.
So, Bodfish Blues, welcome to our show. Thank you so much. I don't think we've seen you here before, but we're really glad you're here. And he did have a question about attracting Bigfoot, which you can get to later. But he did say that last pictograph is on the Tule River, I believe, not too far from me, in the Southern Sierras.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that the one in Porterville, or?
Yeah, the big one. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Too bad. I think
We
it's
are
closed.
really, really, really familiar with Porterville.
Yes, we are. We used to live down
In Mariposa.
in Mariposa in Central California, right next to
Fresno and Hanford and Porterville.
Porterville. Yeah, and
Isn't that where our friend, the magician girl, lived in Porterville?
yeah, there's a
Charlotte Pendragon.
Charlotte Pendragon lives in Porterville.
Hi, Craig. Nice to see ya. Anyway,
Okay,
moving on.
so moving on.
Back to the slide.
So the masks above are Native American masks, and they're 200 to 300 years old. Some of them 4, like the kind of the big one on the side over here. And the crazy thing about these is, I want to tell you, is the age of them. But why would a Native American 300 to 400 to 500 years ago know what a primate looks like? Knows what a ape-looking face looks like? I mean, this wasn't just some boogeyman they made up in their imagination. This is something they saw and revered. And the interesting thing about it is, I want to notes number 2.
Oh, he got through the first page in a relatively short amount of time.
I did, yay. So, yeah, here's what I
have no idea.
Yeah, you have no idea. Here's what I should be a professional lecturer. Anyway,
no.
So, here's something interesting to me. These here are jaw bones found in China, and it's from a creature called Gigantopithecus. To reconstruct the skull, this is what it would look like. And there's something very interesting to this to me. This is on an 8-foot tall creature. We have the skeletons for it. It was found on the edge of the Bering Strait. This is how much bigger it is than us. So you have a human skull here. You have a gorilla skull, and then you have the Gigantopithecus skull. And the interesting thing, if you look closely at it, there's features of both. You have the ridge crest that a gorilla has for a very strong, wide jaw, and then, but it also has the small canine teeth like a human has, and not the big canine teeth like a gorilla has. That's kind of interesting. And where this is found, this creature is found 10,000 years ago on the edge of the Bering Strait.
See, small canine teeth.
Yeah, on the edge of the Bering Strait. The same place we were 10,000 years ago when we migrated across the Bering Strait into North America. So why in the world wouldn't this thing be with us? I mean, that's a whole nother story. I will talk about that in another video.
Yes.
So what I wanted to do is take a look at this. This is Patty, and this is what our
rig is named after.
Yeah, what our camper that we're sitting in right now, and live a full-time RV in the paddy wagon.
When did they find the Gigantopithecus skull, by the way?
10,000 years ago.
10,000 years ago.
Oh, when they found it. No,
when did they find it? It's found 10,000 years
yeah.
ago. When did they find it?
They found it in the late 1800s.
Okay, so, like 120, 130 years ago.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cameron, for the
question.
question.
And actually it was found, the skull wasn't found. What it was is Chinese, in the marketplaces in Chinese, people were grinding the teeth up for medicine. And an anthropologist in the late 1800s, and I did know all these names, but I don't know, but picked up one of these teeth that were in there, and he said, this is not, this is not human, but it's not
something that we know.
It's not something that we know. And so they went further and further searching, and they found the whole jaw bones and things after that, and then they were able to classify this as something called Gigantopithecus. They found two different versions of it too, another one called Gigantopithecus blacki. So
of those names he remembers.
Yeah. Yeah, like Australopithecus. I know all the Pithecus names. Okay.
The more syllables it has, the more likely he is to remember it. It's
exactly.
True.
So this is Patty. This is what our camper's named after, the paddy wagon, found by Roger Patterson in 1967. Now what's interesting is this. The photo I have here, the brown one on the right is Patty. This is kind of a blown up, enhanced version of this. The black and white one above was taken by a man named Scott Carpenter, and I think that was in the early 80s. Don't quote me on that. If somebody can correct me, please do. Okay. The one in the green below, the face looking at you in the center there, is a photo of a Bigfoot that I took myself, that I saw this creature in the woods. It growled at me, I growled back at it, and I got this blurry photo like we always do because my camera was focusing on the foliage in front of it, but I saw this bobbing his head back and forth in real life. But what struck me, being an anthropologist and studying skulls and skull structure and all that stuff, is almost, let's see, 67 to today is, I don't know, years and years. there's a basic layout for the Bigfoot face. And if you look at this, this is just a drawing. So we got the conical head. We've got a deep brow ridge, which sets the eyes back so far. In most of the photos, you don't see eyes. You just see darkness back there because the brow ridge is so deep and shading the eyes. You got this round kind of bulbous nose on it. And then we've got this wide, flat jaw, which coincides with having small canine teeth in a wide mandible. So if you look at the photos from the last 60, 70 years here, and the masks and depictions that the Native Americans did 500 years ago, 3, 4, 500 years ago, what do we have? We have the same bulbous nose, the same deep brow ridge, so the eyes are dark underneath it. You've got this wide, flat mouth on all these depictions. So the Native Americans have been taking pictures of these creatures for hundreds of years. Do you see where I went there?
Yes,
Isn't that
dear.
cool?
Now we're back to Native Americans.
Yeah, now we're back to Native Americans. Now remember this pictograph that Hannah can't take her eyes off parts of it now?
Yeah, oh, thought you did it again. Oops, you did it again.
Okay, so look at the depiction of the face on that Bigfoot in the dead center at the top. You've got a deep brow ridge. You've got back set eyes. You got a bulbous nose and a flat mouth. And in this case, big hands and big feet. There is a photograph of a Bigfoot because they know what people look like because there's a person depicted next to this creature.
The arms.
Yeah. That's probably showing how wide it was. They tried to depict the width of the creature. But so there you go.
I just think the arms are great.
Yep. So,
all right, so
hey, I got through it fairly quickly.
Yay! That took him 2 hours 3 weeks ago. Y'all are lucky. Oh my gosh.
Well, we went into some other stuff a couple weeks ago when I was doing the lecture, but we got into history and stuff. So now I want to talk about some names. I'm going to delete us off here real quick. We're going to get there in a sec.
Okay.
So, now I want to look at this. These are names that have been logged from different tribes all over the United States, and what they call Bigfoot. Now I'm not going to go through them all, but what I want to look at some of them that are called wild men and wild women.
Quackawaqua Indian.
Yeah.
Did I say that right?
No.
Oh.
Okay. Wop kick.
That is not what that says.
That is what it says.
Wop
okay.
kick.
Anyway.
All right.
So
they call apparently the Quackawaqua the Fozzie Bear Indians, no, the Wapkick Indians call them the wild men, which Craig brought up from being the wild men from the tribes up in Canada.
Right.
Refer to them as the wild men, and there's a lot of fear surrounding that.
Yeah, there is. And what's interesting, if you look down the list here now, this is part of the list. I've got a very comprehensive list here. But if you look, they're called Bushman, Wild Man, Big Elder Brother, which is a good thing.
That's sweet.
That's the Lakota Sioux. And if you come to the Blue Mountain Bigfoot Fest, if you can make it to Baker City, Oregon in June 12th and 13th.
Please ignore the Bigfoot Festival happening in Boise on June 13th because they scheduled over us.
Yeah.
Come to Baker City. It's a lot less traffic and the food, food's not as good, but whatever.
But we're
Come to
actually
Baker City. We'll get you a rate at the Sunridge Hotel.
Yeah, we're actually having a Lakota Sioux Indian talk. Actually, he's going.
Yay!
He's going to be here and talking about this. But if you look at the Cherokee, they call them the Hairy Savage. the Quinault Indians, they call him a dangerous being.
You're killing me, Small.
Oh shoot!
You did not turn off your
I
phone.
did not turn off my phone.
Shame on you.
Okay,
I
now
turned
did.
off my phone.
Okay,
Oh.
so, and then you've got Bushman, Woodman, Mask Bean.
Bad luck or disaster.
Yes, that's like an kind of a omen kind of thing.
Omen.
That's what I keep saying, omen. There's a different Cherokee tribe calls him the Stone Man.
I'm interested in
The
the
Hoopa is the boss of the woods.
I'm interested in the Yakama Indians who call it the Five Brothers.
Yes. Which is another good thing.
Salish Indians call them
The Salish, that's where the word
wild man.
Sasquatch comes from. The wild man of the woods. Sasquatch is actually a Salish Indian name.
which means wild man of the woods.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Because I was telling Craig we have got a story about the wild man.
Yeah, we got
Later
coming
on.
up later on. You're gonna love this.
Yep.
So, skookum. Now that is a common word up here in the Northwest. Skookum. There's skookum meadows. There's like 2 skookum meadows in Oregon and 3 in Washington that I know of. There's a famous one in Washington where they found they got the whole body cast of a Bigfoot, but out of that skookum meadows. But we have one here that our Bigfoot 911 report was taken from skookum meadows in.
I like the Yakama Shasta name, Taklia, Owl Woman Monster.
Yeah.
I'm changing my name to Taklia.
Yes, you okay. And then there's another one, the Shoshone, and I had the pleasure of actually talking with a Shoshone elder just last summer. Remember in Pocatello?
Oh yeah.
And
He actually was fluent in the almost dead Shoshone language.
yes, he was,
So
and
that
he
was
was
really
like
exciting.
he was like an elder who taught the Shoshone language to the young people.
Mm-hmm. In an attempt to revive it.
Yeah, and trying to revive their language. But he spoke with me for a while about Bigfoot, and their word for it is this one here. I can't say it right. It's Soaptis, something like that.
Cannibal giant.
It's a cannibal giant to them. To them, Bigfoot's a bad thing.
And they don't talk about it lightly. In fact,
They
it's
don't.
it's like he who will not be named.
Exactly.
You know, they don't like saying he had some issues with the
this back up there.
he had some issues with the footprints because
Yeah, he
he
did.
thought they were actual castings of real footprints, and we gave him one as a gift, and he would only take it after we reassured him that they were just copies of copies.
Yeah, he
Because-
wouldn't take the original ones.
Nope.
And
Too much bad luck around it.
The bad luck around it. And what he said to me was that he came and saw all the stuff we had, all the evidence we had, all the time I spent in the woods looking for Bigfoot, the photographs and all that. He was looking at all that, and what was really interesting to me is he turned to me and he said, "He's got you." And I go, "He's got me. Can you explain?" You know, and he's like, "Bigfoot stole your soul. I mean, Bigfoot's got you, and because you can't give it up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." You know, that's a very interesting take. You know.
It sounds like a religious conversion.
yeah, and it was like, so yeah, that was a Shoshone elder, and that was pretty.
I've
pretty cool.
learned over the years that if a native elder says something, you listen.
Yep.
You don't speak, you listen,
Yep.
and you take it seriously because
Absolutely.
they don't waste their words. So
They don't. And
your soul has been sucked away from you.
Yeah, and so it's very interesting. Some of the, and then other tribes have a totally different take on it. Yeah, it was. I love sitting down talking with tribal elders. I've done it a lot, and like Hannah said, I sit and I listen. That's what I do, and I just let them talk. And they've got thousands of stories, and they're not afraid to tell you them once they comfortable with you and know that you're not going to, you know, take it and bash them or whatever, you know, that
Or spread it inappropriately.
inappropriately.
Because they really treasure their stories. Their stories
they do.
are their history. And speaking of stories, you really want to pay attention till the end because we have got a great story for you to hear.
Yeah.
Like first-hand recording of a two native elders talking about their tribal understanding of Bigfoot.
Yeah, and a tribal legend in particular.
Yep.
So what's interesting with this list of names we just went through was the fact that here's what I came up with. There was 11 of them that believe there's good out of the 76 tribes. There's 19 bad. And there's 27 that are kind of neutral, and 19 that I don't know whether, because we don't have a translation for the word they called them. So this tells me something interesting, that some tribes have had bad experiences with Bigfoot, and some tribes have had good experiences with Bigfoot. Just like today. Today there's people who have really good experiences with Bigfoot. Like the one I saw that was just curious looking at us, and then it turned and walked away when its mother called it, or father. I never saw the other one, but I just heard him. But and then there's people who have bad experiences with them shaking trailers, the whole war thing they had with that story up on Mount St. Helens. So there's native tribes that have stories about wars and stuff. Yep, with Bigfoot. But there's other ones that have good stories about Bigfoot.
And very, very telling and accurate stories. Do I
Yeah.
get to share my favorite now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so like I said, this is my favorite stuff. And as a social worker, I've social worker teacher, I've spent most of my adult life looking at how people have treated people over the years and the relationships between different cultures, and the stories behind them. The massive rampant tribalism that runs our world. And my favorite is, I think it's an Ojibwa story about, this would have been from, I would say, 300-400 years ago, late 16, early 1700s, when the Europeans started to colonize North America. And according to the Ojibwa tribes, at that time they were in a treaty with Bigfoot. A peaceful treaty with Bigfoot, and as the white man came over and started to colonize and settle this continent, Bigfoot went to the Ojibwa elders and said, nothing good will come of the white man. You'd better not have anything to do with them. And the elders said, well, we're going to trade with them. We want their coffee and their chocolate and their tobacco and all the things, and they're blank, so we're going to trade with them. And at that point, Bigfoot said, well, then we are ending this treaty. We are going away into the mountains, and you will never see us again. And boom.
We haven't seen him
again.
Well, we do, but...
and that is that tribal story, and I find that tribal story so very telling, so... that Bigfoot was one of the names for Bigfoot in there. I think it was the Navajo name was for the big god. So in that story, I don't know how closely related the Ojibwa and the Navajo are, but
not even close at all.
Not even close at all.
Okay.
But in that story, you see Bigfoot giving wise words of counsel as almost like a godlike or an advisory figure, and they go unheeded. And then we know what all the hundreds of years of history between Europeans and the indigenous American tribes were.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. And I had something I was going to say.
I don't know.
Tag on to that. And then there's also Native American stories about them taking sick people,
children in
particular, and bringing them back well. And so that segues right into this. I need to get going here.
And yes, you have only 24 minutes left.
I know.
So
here we have two Koyukon. Get the word Yukon? That's Alaska. Okay, in that the Koyukon River runs through the central Alaska, and there's two tribal elders here, Jim Johnson and Pauline Chappelle. I hope I said that right.
Chappelle.
Yep. And this interview with them was recorded in August 9th, 1972. So the recording's a bit scratchy. It was probably done on a cassette tape or reel-to-reel even. I don't know.
Probably reel to reel.
Yeah. I saw something in the chat just a second ago about this one here. Okay, so what I wanted to proceed with here is, well, before I say that, I saw something in the chat. If you have a Bigfoot story, and like Justin just put something in.
Yep.
Okay. Hannah's going to put in a email address in the chat right now. It's squatchoregon@gmail.com. Please email me. I would love to connect with you. I will call you. We will talk. I want all the stories I can get. So anyway, to proceed with this.
Do you want me to read that?
Yeah,
the Koyukon are an Alaska native Athabascan people of the Athabascan-speaking ethno-linguistic group. This is why I'm reading it, because all of the syllables. Their traditional territory is along the Koyukuk and Yukon rivers, where they subsisted by hunting and trapping for thousands of years. Many Koyukon live in a similar manner today. That's one of the things I love about Alaska. It is so similar today as it was, forever.
Yeah, forever. Because it's some rough country and not many people can survive there.
Craig, that's awesome.
So what?
Probably should have homesteaded, but whatever.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So what I'm going to play for you right now is, I'm going to have to turn the mic off if Hannah wants to listen to it with me. I don't know. Does she?
Sure.
Okay.
We're going to turn the mic off and turn
on this.
Turn on
this interview that took place on August 9th, 1972 in Alaska.
Here we go.
Here we go.
There used to be starvation years ago. Starvation, not much fish. Sometimes the weather gets so low that it was impossible for those people, for hunters to get moose, and so cold. And that way they get real hungry and starve. And pretty soon they must get what they call that when the sickness they get from lack of food.
Malnutrition?
Yeah, that's right. I think that's what affects them after they've been low on food.
To eat.
Yeah, they get
That's
sick.
when they used to eat the running off their snowshoes, the sleds,
Yeah,
anything. Eat just anything at all to keep them alive.
yeah, anything
Yeah.
to keep them alive. And then they wander in the woods, and they survive some way. And then that version, they become a woodsman. That's what they used to say around here, wild. We heard that one down, where was that? Down lower Yukon.
Anvik. Below Anvik.
Yeah, that's where there was starvation occurred up Kylcook River, and this woman, young woman, she wandered into woods seeking something to eat, and then she turned wild. So way in August sometime it started to come out way down Anvik, someplace around there. There's a Indian name from that time, village they used to call Nil-Iqtan. Yeah, Nil-Iqtan. That's just like Boogerman's town, in Indian language. They say she used to come out there, and she'd sneak out in night time and come and take fish. nobody sees her. And they claim that them days there used to be lots of medicine people, you know. So they
Well, they have to have some kind of a belief
yeah,
in those days.
yeah.
They have to have some kind of a faith. They didn't have no questions or anything.
No,
They have to have a faith in something.
yeah,
That's where all these medicine people,
yeah.
a long time ago.
They used to save lots of people too. You know, medicine people. They used to save people.
Johnson was brought up right in the village.
Yeah.
We should know.
And so this medicine, they give power to these two boys, I think, two young men, and they hide out back there. They took this woman. They said they had awful time to hold her. They kept her away for a long time till she finally.
Isn't that the one that they pour fish eggs, rotten fish eggs over?
I think that's what they did.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they rub her down.
Something tells them what to do. It comes to their mind. They try anything.
Yeah, she turned out to be just like all other wild, you know, like a woodsman. She turned out to be like
That's
that.
the only story I heard of
Yeah.
that was captured.
Yeah, yeah,
The
we
only one.
heard the story of that. It was quite a comprehensive story around here.
They used to tell
It's
about
just like
it when
an
they were
authentic story, you
kids.
know. Yeah.
Kids.
Ah.
How about ones that weren't captured? How about woodsmen that weren't captured?
I don't. That's
Oh,
only
I
one.
never heard.
That's only one that we heard of.
That's the only
That was
one. This
recaptured
one woman
because
that was captured.
they claim she wandered in the woods and stayed wild, but then
Being
they
hungry
recaptured
and
her.
went mad, you know,
And that
and she
returned to
survived some way.
the way of our life.
And she wandered in around and like someplace cross country or something.
Those
But they identified her through her own people. You know, they made contact some way, and she was the woman. Took a long time.
yeah, I think
But she survived. They got her.
Here we go. Okay,
There we are.
we're back. All right.
Okay.
So,
I love at the end how they say that they got her. They got her. She never came back.
well, they recaptured her though.
But she was like them.
Right. So, if you didn't get the gist of the story,
And by the way,
Because-
Cameron, that cough was from that was on the audio.
that was on the audio when they recorded it in '72. I also heard somebody flick open a Zippo lighter. So I think one of these folks I think the lady was smoking, so that's where the cough came from. But anyway, in 1972 everybody smoked, so that was the thing.
My mother did not.
I know, but all my family did. But anyway, the interesting thing about this story is they talked about how the natives were starving because in the wintertime, he said it was hard to get moose or hard to get caribou.
They would eat their mucklucks.
They would eat eat the
pretty-
leather off their shoes,
That's some
basically.
pretty tough chew in there.
Yeah. So this one lady said that she was just tired of starving, so she walked into the woods and joined the medicine people, is what they called them, and then became a wild person. So we got that wild man word again, and they looked to them as medicine people that helps humans, that helps natives.
You know what I find interesting about and this probably has nothing to do with that, but to the Native Americans, medicine is balance.
Yeah, it is.
Medicine is balance. My whole blog, Squatching with Hannah, is about finding balance. So balance between, in all areas of life. And so to consider Bigfoot medicine people, they're looking to them. These really are what we're striving to be. We're striving to be creatures of balance that can make life work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, back to.
So what they were, another thing they were talking about, that she went and lived with them and became one of them for a period of time, and then she was captured by trying to sneak fish and stuff away from the village back to the Bigfoot tribe.
So stealing food is part of balance. All right, hey, dumpster diving. Yes. No.
So no, but so that's where that story came from. So, you guys have any questions? Please throw them in the comments.
Yes,
real
Craig
quick.
Crandall just mentioned that medicine people sounds like religious abilities. Well, in Native American, in the way they interpret things, there's not a separate religious and secular. Everything is one.
Mm-hmm.
So spirituality and physicality and all those things, it's just life.
Yeah.
There's not that separation like Europeans have.
Not in the European culture. What we think is there's spiritual, and then there's not.
It's all the same
existence.
Yeah.
And
so I think actually is probably truer than not.
Yeah, and so the medicine people are the people who have
an understanding of all of it.
Understanding of all of it is what they trying to say here. It's interesting because the Native American world is so different than the European and what we're accustomed to, and even growing up here in America, we're whitewashed, I'd have to say, or
but the Native Americans, Europeanized,
Europeanized, and we've Europeanized America. The native world is totally different, and it saddens me that they are losing their culture. And
your great grandmother was a Native American medicine woman.
Yes, she was.
And how much of that did you grasp?
None, other than when you're sick, you eat horseradish raw, and that clears your head.
And white willow bark for headaches.
Yeah.
The
medicine stuff, the medicine part of it, but not the spiritual part of it.
The closest that we could probably, as Europeans of European descent, understand Native American, how they view the world is if we were to look at the Celtics, ancient Ireland, because they've got a very similar, very spiral and circular way of thinking, rather than the linear, compartmentalized way that we see things.
Right.
So,
and just like when you're speaking with like the native elders that I have spoke to and listening to their stories, you'll hear them refer to coyotes as people.
Yeah.
Or bears as people, or Bigfoot as people. To them, we're people, they're people, we're all people. We're all beings of this earth that live together. And they look at other animals not so much as like they're animals and we're humans. They look at them as their people.
We're all people.
We're all creatures of this earth. They're a creature of the earth. I'm a creature of the earth. So that's you got to start thinking that way when you're talking with the Native Americans, and it changes your whole perspective of what they're saying while you're listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
So they were, in what we just heard, they were talking about that the wild men, like us men,
wild people,
the woods people. In fact, I think he said that word, woods people, once, and so they look at them as just another people, another tribe, just like coyotes are another tribe, or wolves are another tribe, or bears are another tribe, or salmon are another tribe, and even their creation stories involve all the animals, what we call animals, all the other tribes. So, any questions?
Yeah, please shoot your questions up. We have like 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes left. So, anyway.
So, any comments we need to...
Let's see. Well, if we go back up to Bodfish Blues. If Bodfish Blues is still here, he wanted to know how to attract Bigfoot. He's got a site. I'm looking at... Okay, here we go. Says, can you direct me to attracting Bigfoot? Have a site, some small running water, mountains, 6,000 feet, unpaved Forest Service Road, 6,000... Day trip Tuesday, high temperatures almost 70, wolf dog along for the third look in 3 weeks. So how would you attract Bigfoot to that area? If that is possible. Nutella,
I don't know.
Man, Nutella.
No.
Nutella will attract everything.
Attracting them is difficult. It isn't. First of all, they have to be there. There's the scary part. Up here where we do our Bigfooting is, almost 27,000 square miles of forest. So if there's 200 Bigfoot in 27,000 square miles, the chance of me attracting one at any given place is pretty slim.
And they're not stupid.
No, they're not. They're intelligent. I don't think they're tool making intelligent, but they're tool using intelligent.
And they're human avoiding intelligent.
But I'll tell you, some of the things that we have done in the past is that they are also, they are curious. They are curious beings. So,
what the blippity blap are they up to now?
So, a lot of times we get more interactions, I'll put it that way, with them by doing nothing.
Just doing the normal thing.
By going into the woods and just hanging out.
Set up your camp. Have your campfire.
Yeah, do your stuff. I have not got any... Well, I can't say I haven't had any luck knocking on trees, because I have, but it's a rarity. I have got more luck just going into the woods and just being me, sitting there in the woods, saying, hey, here I am, come check me out. I'm a silly thing in the woods you need to look at. Another thing I do is, instead of whooping and knocking on trees and all that other stuff, we will often play the sounds of babies crying.
Or better yet, we will just cook jalapeno poppers over the campfire.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to come to. He's going to go off, and he's going to come back, and I'm going to be chowing down with the whole family. It's true.
Yeah.
I know it's going to happen.
But another good thing is, there is this thing about gifting.
Yes.
That is a thing. And she mentioned Nutella. That's worked in the past, leaving peanut butter and Nutella out. But another thing is, speaking with people who have done this habitation Jane Goodall thing in the woods, I have attempted it, and I'm still working on that. But some people's told me it's take 5 years before they took your gift. So they're very skittish in that respect. So
and they have every reason to be. Remember, they're the ones who said nothing good will come from these people. Don't go there.
Yeah.
And they went there and they left. So they know. They're smart.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually, if there is an element of belief here, I really believe there's more truth in that particular story than untruth. So.
Yeah, I know somebody said, Cameron said habitation could be dangerous too.
Habituation,
Or habituation.
It can be.
It can be, yes. But the thing is...
Not a problem, Bodfish. We appreciate you being here.
I'm using the word wrong. Maybe I'm using the wrong word.
What?
Habitation.
Habituation.
Habituation, to get them used to you and you to them.
It takes a long time.
It does take a long time, but like you said, it might be dangerous. It could be
Yeah.
dangerous. So maybe trading goods with them to gather evidence is a good thing. But actually trying to get them close enough to you to hang out with them could be a bad thing.
Actually,
so.
I don't know, I could be wrong here, but most of the stories we hear about habituation happen in places where people are there all the time, like they're a big, Bigfoot tribe or family that lives in the woods off of a farm or something like that.
Mhm.
And so it's not like go into the woods and hang and leave. It's like people are always there, and so they're naturally a part of that shared habitat. That's kind of where we've heard most of it. Let's see. Justin asked, "Have you had strange behavior with your animals by Squatch?" Well, we don't have our dog anymore, and she was a nutball anyway. So,
But yeah,
did she ever?
Not really. We haven't, but it's not uncommon. I mean,
No, dogs generally won't track.
I have a good friend of mine who has a Doberman who goes in the woods, and this guy's in Maine. He's a Bigfooter, and his dog will react when these things are around, but it will react not like there's something in the woods, I'm going to go get it. It's there's something in the woods that I don't want to be around, so it tries to leave.
Yeah.
So
that's over and over again. We hear that dogs will not track a Bigfoot. In fact, they cower in fear. So there's got to be a great story behind that too. I would love to hear it.
yeah.
But in Bodfish says, my wolf dog always leads, but was not the one time I saw something. And he wouldn't be leading because they won't engage.
Right.
So now we are down to 1 minute left, so it is time for us to sign out. We thank all of you for coming, and we will be back next Sunday
night.
with something very interesting.
Like what?
I'm sure. We'll figure that out between now and then. But please, if you have ideas of things that you want to talk about, go ahead and, again, email us at squatchoregon@gmail.com. We will entertain any and all ideas to share an hour with you every week. And,
right, and like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years, so I've got a lot of experience and knowledge, and I've heard thousands of stories from other people and been able to put this all together. So I might have an answer for you. If I don't, I'll say, I don't know, I'm stupid. So
until then, please, if you haven't, if you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Click the bell. Please share. And one more thing, please. Now, when you get out, when this goes not live anymore, please comment. Put comments in below the video. That triggers YouTube's little algorithms. Gosh, I hate that word. It triggers YouTube to put our channel out there when people start looking for Bigfoot, in the search bar. So we're learning all about how YouTube does that. So like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things. And until next week,
go out and look for Bigfoot.
And keep it squatchy.
Okay.
And there's Alexa!
All right. Thank you, folks.
All
Good
right.
night.
Bye.
To release gases, a process